be talking about the Ruger Gunsite Scout Rifle. This is a .308 rifle, and it's definitely one of my prized possessions. I'm very happy with this purchase. The main thing that attracted me to this rifle was the fact that it has a 10-round detachable magazine. Most .308 rifles that you'll find don't have a detachable magazine, or they do if you get a new trigger group, for example like the Remington 700. The reason why I chose to go with this rifle, first of all, was its style. I really like how this thing looks with the laminated wood grain that we got going on. It's very grippy here and here. I was down at a local gun shop a few months ago, and they had this rifle on display. And as I was looking at it and feeling it, I cocked it, pulled the trigger to feel what the trigger pull was like, and the trigger pull was extremely light. When you want it to shoot, it shoots. It's got a 4-pound trigger pull, and there's no slack at all that you have to take up. I mean, it's right there, ready to go. So, very nice trigger pull, and when I felt that, I was in love, and I knew that I wasn't going to be satisfied until I got this rifle. Okay, here in the rear we have a very nice, very soft recoil pad. This comes stock on the gun. It's kind of hard to tell with this little pouch thing I have on here, but this little plastic piece is actually a spacer. The rifle comes with 3 spacers that you can add or remove. You basically just unscrew the butt pad and put on the spacers, and it allows, if you're a taller person, you can add those spacers. It makes it very customizable. This is the grip part of the stock. It's very, very easy to hold on to right here, very grippy. One of the things that I like about this rifle is its safety. This is the safety here, and when it's fully all the way forward, means that the safety is off. When you have it halfway, as so, you can completely move the bolt. However, you cannot pull the trigger; it will not fire. And then the third setting here is push it all the way back, and it locks the bolt in place, so it cannot be shot or maneuver the bolt in any way. Gunsite Scout Rifle logo here. The only thing that I personally sort of dislike, doesn't really bother me, but a lot of people have a lot of complaints about, is the trigger guard. The trigger guard is actually made of polymer, and so some people feel that they're going to drop this rifle and it's going to hit exactly right there and it's going to crack it. All the other parts, for example inside the mag well, are metallic. As you can see here, these screws that are on top of the barrel are actually what hold the Picatinny rail in place. This rifle has the intention of being a scouting rifle, and therefore having a forward-mounted high or extended eye relief scope. I personally wasn't big into that, and so that's why I like having this scope on here. As I said earlier, 16.5-inch barrel. We have the front sight. It does come stock with ghost ring back sight. I personally don't have that on right now. I, in the future, plan on getting a full-length rail. An accessory you can get is a full Picatinny rail that goes along the top that has a built-in back sight, or a ghost ring sight in the back, and then so you can add on whatever scope you'd like onto that while having the ability to have the backup sights on there. I have here just a basic Champion 6-inch to 9-inch bipod. I highly recommend getting a bipod. I prefer shooting off of a table, a stable platform. I would also recommend this pouch on the back. It's kind of nifty. It's a very soft part right here. It helps kind of raise your cheek a bit, and it's very comfortable to use. This pouch here, I keep my bore snake in here for whenever I'm out shooting, and then of course you can keep 5 rounds on the outside. I've actually been able to fit one of these smaller Ruger polymer magazines inside of this pouch, but it's kind of forcing it to work in there. I've seen a lot of people put, for example, this bore snake as well as like Rem wipes and maybe a granola bar or something like that in there. One of the other things we can't forget is the box magazine holds 10 rounds, which is very appealing. It is rather big as it sticks out. The polymer magazines are much smaller in comparison, if I can get that in there. I bought this rifle used for, I think it was just under $700 from a local gun shop. I was in the market for a .308 rifle. I wanted some higher power, and this was definitely something on my list. But typically they're, I think, just under $800 for a brand new one. I can't be sure of that. I don't remember the exact price, the MSRP. However, this Citron scope came mounted on it. This rifle had about 200 rounds put through it before the owner decided he wanted to get a different gun. This was only in the shop a couple of days, and I was lucky to be able to grab it. I had to reserve it to make sure that no one else bought it. I was very surprised to find out the price of Citron scopes, actually. They normally run for about $300, and I don't know how, but the gun shop owner didn't know that. Some people say Citrons are overpriced and what have you. Other people say that they're really good. I personally like it a lot. I've shot this at night in the dark, and it's a very crisp, clear picture. 3:9 magnification is a little bit lower than what I want. I'll probably get a different scope later on that has a higher magnification, but for the time being, I was very pleased to be able to get this for it only added $20 to the total price. If you do end up getting these polymer magazines, what you need to do is take some .308 ammo, put it in there, load it all the way to the top, and you need to kind of work it. It's literally going to scrape off a ton of plastic inside of here, and that's going to get inside your rifle, and most people don't prefer that. So what you want to do is you want to just kind of play with it, work it back and forth, and smooth out that inner edge. After I did that, I didn't have any problems as far as having misfeeds or it not getting locked onto the bolt correctly. So just be aware of that. Now, I've seen a few videos online of some people that have some .308 ammo that they call bunny busters. I'm not sure if that's the official street name or anything, but essentially what you do is you take out the bullet of a .308 and you take out maybe half to 3/4 of the powder inside. This is an empty one. It's just an empty shell. The primer hasn't been struck. So then basically they take a double-aught buck shotgun lead ball, and they would replace, put back some of the gunpowder inside, and then they take this lead ball and they kind of hammer it into the top so it's a nice snug fit. Now this will fit through the barrel of a .308, and the idea is you have a .308 round that you can load into your rifle, but its power is intended for small game like rabbits, maybe foxes or squirrels. So essentially you have the versatility in a .308 rifle of taking down large game, but at the same time if you make your own bunny buster ammo, all you have, then you can use it for small game as well. A lot of people like to carry, get this little pouch on the back and they carry 5 to 10 rounds of this as well as 5 to 10 rounds of their real .308 ammo. Before I figured out how to do this on my own, I had noticed that online you can find these blue plastic training bullets. It's a .308, it's a real bullet, it's a 10-grain plastic, and it's accurate really up to about 50 yards. Supposedly it's accurate up to 300, but I haven't heard of anyone getting it accurate up to that range. So before I figured out how to do this, I thought to myself, well, this is a 10-grain plastic bullet, maybe it would be good for small game. So I went ahead and ordered 50 rounds of it, and I haven't tried it out yet, but I'll show you in the video how accurate it is. And I think this is a good alternative if you don't want to or don't know how to make the bunny buster ammo, that you can safely use a plastic bullet instead. One thing that people say you cannot do with this rifle is load one round at a time as if you did not have a magazine. That is in part true, but as well it is false. Here I have an empty polymer magazine. You can also do this with the metal magazine that comes with the rifle. I just set it in there, and as it gets pushed forward, you'll notice that it drops down just a little bit. So after it drops down, it gets into the position to be locked onto the bolt, and it's easy to fling it out. The other thing that you can do with this rifle is you can take your ammo, and if you have a polymer mag, you can actually load it by just pressing it in. So how about we take this out to the range and we'll see how accurate it is. Alright, so we're at the range. The ammo that we're going to be using today is some Cellular and Bellet 308 Winchester ammo. It's made in 1982. You can see here it's pretty beat up, it's pretty old. You can see the head stamp there. It says 308 82 on 308W on the top and 82 on the bottom. For example, on this piece you can see there's a bunch of junk built up on it. This is the cheapest ammo you can get for 308, including steel case. I got 500 rounds for $170, which is a pretty good deal. So we're just shooting it down range to see what kind of accuracy it has. It's obviously not going to be the best. We have about 40-mile-an-hour winds right now with gusts up to 60 miles an hour. It's not the ideal shooting circumstance or weather, but it's what we have to work with. So again, I apologize for the wind. There really isn't much I can do about it. Let's see how it shoots. We got 10 rounds, each for 2. Okay, this is the distance that we just shot. So this is 20 rounds right here. This target is a life-size man target. It's based off a man that's about 6 feet tall, being a burglar. They're really cheap on Amazon if you want to look them up. So this is 20 rounds right here. All in his ocular cavity in his head. The majority of the rounds are obviously right here. Had a couple scattered up here and down here as well. But, you know, with that type of ammo and it being a 16.5-inch barrel, I'm extremely impressed with how accurate that is. Especially on a day of having 40-mile-an-hour winds and gusts up to 60 miles an hour. That's extremely proficient in my opinion. Okay, now we're at the 200-yard marker. This target was left by some previous shooters, and the rain has obviously washed off quite a bit of the paint on here. However, what I want to show you, at 200 yards, I was aiming directly at the bullseye. My scope was sighted in for 100 yards. These shots here were the shots that I had. Now keep in mind there's some really high winds today, so it's about 5 inches low, about 5 to 6 inches, so I was aiming up here, and then that's where I started getting these. And I had a really far drifter over here. So even out to 200 yards with this really not so great ammo, I'm pretty impressed with its accuracy. And I'm not the best or most stable shooter either. So that's pleasing to me. And then we start the 200-yard walk back. One of the other things we're going to be testing today is this training ammo. It's a plastic round. It's actually a 10-grain bullet. It's extremely lightweight, and it's got a plastic casing, but a metal rim here. The rim doesn't seem to fit so well inside of the action area of the gun, but these are supposedly accurate out to about 300 yards. I've shot them at 100 yards, and with the wind out today, I was having about a 3 to 4 foot wide spread. So that's not great at all. But we're going to do some more testing at 50 yards now and see what it turns out like. All right. Let's see how it goes. How's it done? Alright, it's at 50 yards. We have, I think, only 8 shots on target that I can find. I think this one down here was already there. This was a reuse of this target. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That actually looks like it got hit in the same spot again, so that's probably the 9th hole. And then the 10th one was a dud. So at 50 yards, it's actually not bad. We have, for the most part, about a 2-inch group, and then a couple of random guys out there. Probably due to wind, but at 50 yards, it's definitely fairly accurate. Well guys, thanks for subscribing, and thanks for the comment. Remember, fail to prepare, preparing for failure.